Okay, today we're going to make some turkey chili. This is a recipe that comes from the 21-Day Fix Extreme eating plan. One serving is going to be a whole cup of chili, and this will result in you getting a half a green container, a half a yellow container, and a full red container for the day if you're using the portion fix system. We're going to use ground turkey. You can use ground beef. It just really depends on, what you're looking for your health. Ground turkey is a little bit less in saturated fat. If you're comparing the same percentage, here I'm using 94% lean, 6% fat. If I compared that in equivalent to beef, this would be a little bit lower in saturated fat, which is important if cholesterol is a concern for you. It also is a little bit higher in B vitamins, so if you feel that you struggle in your B vitamins, I would go with turkey over beef. Obviously, you can make the recipe with your choice. A lot of people feel that turkey can be a little bit dry. I don't mind using it in things like this where it's going to be in, some sort of sauce or something like that. So to start, we would heat up a teaspoon of oil into a pan. I already got that started. I used olive oil. That's obviously one of the best choices that you can do. And then we're going to chop up a whole green pepper while that's heating up. I did already start. I removed the membranes from the pepper, and I took all the seeds out. So now I'm just going to make it into good little portion-sized bits so that, when we're eating the chili, it's easy to chew. Sometimes I like to chew very little when I'm eating chili and stews. Green peppers have a lot of really great benefits. It can help your heart, it can help your eyes, it also helps lower your bad cholesterol. It has great anti-inflammatory properties, which can be important if you have joint issues, or if you've just started a new workout program and your muscles are sore. It also can help prevent hypertension. So this recipe technically calls for a medium green pepper. I am using a rather large one. That's just what was available at the store when I went. And obviously I don't need to use all of it if I didn't want to, but I love peppers. So, although I'm not following the recipe to a T, I am going to use the entire green pepper. Great, so that's all chopped up into like little half-inch pieces. That's what I tend to like, but obviously you can do whatever size you want. We also want to make sure that we're chopping up an onion. I'm using a red onion. You can use a yellow onion. They just wanted a medium-sized onion. I hate chopping onions, but I love the flavor. So what I tend to do is use a chopper. So I just cut the ends off, peel back the skin of the onion. Here, my pan's on a little too high. I can hear oil crackling over there. So I'm going to just turn it down for a sec. Great, nobody wants to get burnt. And then I dice this into a couple portions, and like I said, I'm going to use a chopper. This one's really simple. It isn't necessarily the easiest to clean, but I like it because then I don't have to get those annoying crying eyes that we all hate so much when we're chopping our onions up. Oops, that's not the piece I wanted to use. Okay, so now my onions are all chopped up. I have my turkey already, my onion, my bell pepper, and it looks like I just need the garlic. So you're going to do 3 garlic cloves. I am not a cook by any means. If anything, I consider myself a baker. I do enjoy cooking, but I don't know necessarily the rules of how to do things most appropriately as someone who has done cooking classes would. But the way that I deal with garlic is I peel all the little stuff off first. Now, I have seen people do it different ways. I personally cut the ends off, and then the paper just tends to peel right off. My husband does this technique where he takes a knife and he puts his hand over the knife, and then he smushes down on the garlic, and that again breaks off all the little all the little pieces of paper protecting the garlic. That is obviously effective as well. I don't like it quite as much because it smushes the garlic, and I don't mind if my hands smell like garlic all day. In fact, I love it. Ooh, I can smell those onions. My eyes are watering. So, you can either mince the garlic or chop it really tiny into pieces. I'm going to use a mincer. They're pretty simple. You just put the clove in here, and then you'll push down and it puts it into little tiny pieces. So, let's let you guys see what's happening on the stove. Doo-doo-doo. Alright, so, first things first, we're going to add the turkey. This should be about 1.5 pounds of turkey meat. Then we're going to add the green bell peppers. Of course, all the onions we chopped up. Point of crying if you're not going to use the onions, right? And then the 3 cloves of minced garlic. So, as I stated, we put the little garlic clove in there, and then you push it down, and it just comes out the other side. Kind of like those little Play-Doh things we used to use as kids. It's nice and quick. Great. So now that's all started, I'm going to give it a stir. You're going to do this until the meat is pretty brown. That will take about 5 to 8 minutes, stirring occasionally. Obviously, the more you break up the meat, the better, the faster it will cook. So do be aware of that. So. Great. I'm going to turn this heat back up a little bit to about medium. I had turned it down while I was prepping because the oil was getting too hot. So I'm going to let that cook for a little bit for 5 to 8 minutes. We'll move on to the next step. So while that's browning, you're then going to add cumin, chili powder, salt, cayenne pepper. And you're going to continue to do this for another minute after everything's browned. So for the cumin, we're going to do 1.5 teaspoons. And what I like to do is just put it all in a bowl in advance while that's over there browning. And then after the turkey's all brown, I can slowly start to add it. So the ground cumin, we're going to do 1.5 teaspoons. So this is 1/2 teaspoon, so I'll do 3 of these. Then we're going to do the chili powder, and that is 1 whole tablespoon. I always forget this tablespoon doesn't fit in here. Great. I can hear my meat browning a little bit, so I'm going to go give it a stir. Okay. And we need our salt. We're going to do a half a teaspoon of salt. Okay. A quarter teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Great, and I just love red pepper flakes. I pretty much incorporate them into everything I eat. I don't know why, I just love them. So I'm going to stick a teaspoon of these into my little seasoning mixture, even though it is not something that is required. The other thing that I like to add is some sort of hot pepper. We're really into heat in this house. So I'm just going to chop up a little hot pepper, and I will add that in to the seasoning mix. Do you realize pepper's heat comes from the seeds? So if you're using a really hot pepper, you want to make sure that you don't get those seeds in there, or you might not enjoy it quite so much. And I just cut these into little 1/4-inch chunks. Great. Stir it all up. And I have a nice little bowl of seasoning that I then will add to the meat. So I'm going to go continue letting that meat brown for another few minutes, and I'll be back. Okay, so now our turkey meat is pretty brown, so we're going to add our seasoning. Part of the reason I like mixing it beforehand is because then I feel like it gets spread really evenly throughout the turkey. So we're going to stir this all in, and we're going to brown this for an additional minute. This is so that the turkey and the peppers can really absorb those flavors before we start to add some liquid. Great. After you've been doing that for about a minute, you're then going to add your last 2 to 3 ingredients. Okay? So this is a can of black beans. I used organic. You want to rinse them and add those. Stir those in. And then a 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes. You want to include the liquid into that. It's looking pretty yummy. And then you would just let this simmer for 15 to 20 minutes and it'd be ready to serve. I actually really like my chili broken down a little bit more versus like a pan-fried chili, which is more what this is like. So I tend to add a cup to a cup and a half of water. And I will let this simmer a lot longer. So I may let it simmer for an hour before I'll enjoy it. But it's totally delicious either way, so if you're in a rush, you don't need to add that water, and you can just let it break down naturally for 15 to 20 minutes before you enjoy. I actually love this recipe. I'm a huge chili fan, though I could eat chili, several times a week, but I do hope that you enjoy this as much as I do. All right, have a good day, and I hope we continue to heal together.